I'm going to preview the Baylor at Texas Tech women's soccer game, which will be played on October 4th at 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN+. There will be live stats as well. And Baylor's coming off of a tie against TCU 1-1. They were outshot by TCU by a big margin. However, Baylor scored first in the game, which was huge at the time. That way they don't have to worry about, oh, what if it's a loss situation when they're up. Of course, TCU did tie it up. And it's interesting for the rest of the game and everything. But Baylor ended up tying TCU, and that's huge. And I'll go over why later. So Baylor 6-4-3 on the year. 1-2-2 in the Big 12. But when you look at the two losses per se, they were like 1-0 losses. So it's not like they're getting blown out. Or like 2 goals or more. You know, of course, a blowout's like 3 goals or more. But you get the whole point. Very close loss as well. Texas Tech, on the other hand, is coming off of a win against Houston, but Houston is one of the worst teams in the Big 12. They won 2-0. And Texas Tech is 9-2-1 on the year, 4-0-1 in the Big 12, and their only tie was against TCU. And I do think Texas Tech will still be ranked, by the way, and this is pre-recorded prior to the rankings coming out. That way I could just upload it immediately and all this. And in terms of RPI, Baylor actually moved up a few spots since that last game. Now they're number 37. And they actually were like number 40 prior to the game. So they did move up. Obviously a win would have been better to get yourself in even a better spot for the NCAA tournament with the RPI. RPI is important. Somewhat important in all this. Now, Texas Tech's RPI is number 51. Not as good as Baylor's, but when you look at the non-cons, you'll know why and all that, all this. So, what are some players to keep an eye on for Texas Tech? And I'll put that in the description below so y'all could see it. And I'll put the roster too, because I'm not going to mention every single player. And you could, and they have used like some different formations all year long, but the most recent in all this, so we'll have to wait and see. And you can kind of use that trend of the last few games if you want to go back and look at the stats for the game, like how many defenders, how many midfielders, how many forwards did they really use. So yeah. And the most used goalie all year is Peyton Nguyen, number 40, 5'7" goalie. That's a junior. 8 goals allowed in 26 saves. So what are some players like? I'm not goal scorers that are like 2 goals or more. Alana Harry, number 7, and I do not know the injury status for Texas Tech or Baylor and all this. So keep that in mind. 5'9" forward / midfielder. That's a freshman. 2 goals on 13 shots attempted and 2 assists. Now they do have a really dangerous player in Payne Parsons, number 9, 5'4" midfielder / forward. That's a junior, 7 goals on 40 shots attempted and 2 assists. Okay, I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. Okay, there's Taylor Zdrojewski, Jewski. Apologize if I butchered that. That is a hard last name. Number 16, 5'10" forward. That is a sophomore. 6 goals and 26 shots attempted and 3 assists. So 2 players with 6 or more goals. Wow. That's something to deal with. They do have Elise Anderson, number 20, 5'10" defender. That's a senior. I know she has no goals, but 7 shots attempted and 2 assists. There's Macy Blackburn, number 23, 5'7" defender. That's a junior. 1 goal on 8 shots attempted, but 6 assists. Whew. They do have also 2 other players with 4 goals apiece. And Caitlin Giammatta, number 33, 5'4" forward. That's a senior. 4 goals on 21 shots attempted and 3 assists. Scott Haas, number 36, 6-foot midfielder. That's a sophomore. 4 goals on 16 shots attempted and 1 assist. And I guess some of these players might be bench players, or maybe they're not even going to play because of injury or about the yellow card situation. I don't know about that either. So, and the last player I'm really going to mention is Ashley Williams, number 37, 5'8" forward as a senior, 2 goals on 28 shots attempted. So, yeah, that's the last player I'm really going to mention here. So as you can tell, they have a lot of goal scorers with 4 or more, not just 2 or more, but 4. So obviously, a win here would really help Baylor's chances in the NCAA tournament even more, especially against a potentially ranked opponent. And this is pre-recorded before the rankings come out, so I could just instantly upload and all this. And or a tie. I don't know. A tie might hurt them more because the RPI for Texas Tech's lower than Baylor's. So now what? Of course, you gotta make adjustments on the fly during the game, not just from first half, second half, but during the first half in general and during the second half. You gotta make adjustments. You gotta make sure to make it difficult for Texas Tech to get some shots off as much as possible, because they will shoot and they got weapons, as you could tell, with 4 goals or more out there. And I get some of those stats may be inflated because of the non-conference, but still, you can't let them get easy shots. And in order to limit those easy shots, you gotta be good in 1v1 situations as a defender, or like Markham. I mean, and that's and all this, and you don't want to turn the ball over in your own end or in the midfield, because that'll give them more chances. And you don't need them to dictate the game or possession game. And the good news is you're coming off of Sunday and you have plenty of rest and plenty of time to prepare for this game. And I know the same thing goes for Texas Tech, but they were on the road, and you were just on the road against Colorado. Then you came back home, so at least you don't have to do the travel on the way back and all this. That's like from Sunday and get back as soon as possible. So that's the good news, because you're already back home and all this. You try to possess the ball better and get more chances than last game. And obviously what you did wrong last game, correct it for this game. And what you did right last game, bring it to this game. And you got to be good on like set piece defense, in terms like not just like free kicks that are potentially they could get to the box and then they try to head the ball or volley or straight up get the ball back to the net somehow with their foot. That's not a volley and all this. And obviously like corner kicks, same thing. And you don't want to foul in the box or handball in the box, because that means a PK for the other team and you're scoring in. You know, that's just a guessing game. And obviously if you could draw that, that's different. You got to take advantage of it, and you got to be good in your set pieces too whenever you got the chance to. And you got to have crisp passing, and let's just try to make them uncomfortable on defense. You got to win the second ball, whether it's like through it in the air or on the ground, and pressure them on making mistakes on their own in the field. You know, and don't try to foul near the box either. That's shooting range. And obviously, if you draw a foul, that's in shooting range, that's different. And all this. So, and you should play loose and easy in this game. You have nothing. The only thing you got to lose is the RPI going down and all this. But Texas Tech, their conference record, you know, it's 4-0-1. So the pressure's on them, and they're potentially ranked, and you're not going to be ranked. Probably not going to be ranked. Probably not even receiving votes either. So the pressure's on them, and they're at home and all this. So yeah, and obviously you want to try, and when you look at the film, like see what areas you could exploit for them and what areas you need to try to take away as much as possible. And you cannot rely on officiating in this game. Just can't, because you don't know how reliable they're going to be. So You got to make adjustments to the officiating and be the mentally tougher team and go out and make plays to win. And yeah, I know Michelle Leonard wants to win more than Ty, and that she said that as much in the post game comments, but she was glad with the result too. It's just got to win more, got to win these type of games, and a win here would really not just help the NCAA tournament RPI go up more, but help your conference standings more than just a point on the board and all this. So yeah, I'm just speaking the truth about that, because it does impact the Big 12, because only the top 12 teams get to the Big 12 tournament, and seeding does matter, because if you don't want to be in that play-in situation where you have to play so many games within so many days. I mean, that's the thing. Or even the first round game, you want to try to get like a bye and all this. So this is one of those games you could steal potentially, because look, I get it's on the road, but they're not as good as. But Oklahoma State at the time, we thought they were going to be that great in the Big 12. Yeah, they tempered off a little bit. I mean, that's the thing, and they have another draw to their record in the Big 12. Yeah, in Arizona, I don't know what to think of that loss either, but it is what it is. It was 1-0 loss. It's not like 2-0 or 3-0. And you got to get some shots up in this game, unlike the last game, and possess the ball better. I mean, in all this, because you don't want to play on your own end, defending end so much. Let's try and make them on their own defending end as much as possible, and try to start the game faster. I mean, if possible, and finish strong during the game. So yeah, and obviously you need to have your goal scorer step up and all this, and send good crosses in. And sure, an own goal might happen, but it is what it is. If it happens, if they score on an own goal, you need to avoid that as much as possible on defense. And obviously, if you draw them up to do that, that's different. It's on them for it, but still, you don't want to do that on defense either. I mean, and you got to come up with big saves as much as possible. And sure, they could get more shots than you, as long as you stop them enough, or not allow any, and you score just 1 or 2. That makes a difference in the game. And if you are up late in the game, within the last 10 minutes, you gotta stay aggressive. Of course, you want to time waste when it gets closer to the 3-minute mark or 2-minute mark, and try to clear that. You gotta clear the ball out as soon as possible. That way, they don't get a lot of opportunities, or even do counterattacks. Whenever you get a huge stop and counter right back, and you have the advantage in the game and all this. So, and you do need to have a sense of urgency, and I'm sure that they know winning would really help their conference record more than a draw, and certainly better than a loss, for sure, because another loss would really hurt it, especially when you don't know how they're going to do the seeding. And I'm sure it's going to be the points average per game, because Iowa State did not play one conference game because of the weather, canceled the game, practically called a no contest for one of their games, and they were probably going to lose, I would think, against UCF. They were a better team than Iowa State, but you get the whole point. And let's play our hair on fire and go out there and don't be intimidated by them. And obviously, you need to be careful on the yellow cards for the certain players, because so many yellow cards means a suspension for the next game. And obviously, you don't want to have 2 yellow cards on one player. That means a red, and you're down a player. You don't want to have a red card. Obviously, if Texas Tech does that, it's on them. And same thing goes for 2 yellows and one player, and they're out of the game. That's on them. So yeah, and all this. So, and let's go in there and don't let them intimidate us, or the crowd even. and keep out cool, because the last thing you want to do is lose composure during the game. That could ultimately make a difference, and not just Big 12 standings, but potential NCAA tournament berth on the line. And I get there are some games left here, because after this game there's Arizona State at home, West Virginia at home, BYU on the road, Utah on the road, and Iowa State on the road. Besides the Big 12 tournament, that is if you could get there. The hope is to get there. And this is one of these games that could really help in both areas. For NCAA tournament, because what if Texas Tech's ranked? But rankings don't mean is not the end all be all. And the Big 12 standings, because right now Texas Tech would definitely be in the Big 12 tournament, and this would increase the number of points from like 5 as of right now, because a win and 2 draws is 5 points. Then you add 3, that's up to 8 points, and that's a lot safer than 6 points with the draw. So, and all depends about what happens on the Big 12 standings as well. So, and I'll go like the Big 12 standings, like starting the next game, not right now, because it's still obviously Friday needs to be played and everything. So we're gonna have to wait and see what really happens. But let's go in there and don't let them push us around, and let's get a W in this game if possible, if you can. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. On the road to 7 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. So my mind out this course, like a video, comment video, really helps YouTube algorithm so more people see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe button, click the notification bell as well.